There are times you can tell the exact moment that you became friends with someone. And I know the exact moment that I became friends with my friend Karen. Karen is married to one of my best friends in the world, and when she and I first met, we fell into that natural early dynamic of she was my friend's wife and I was her husband's friend. So together we were simply just polite acquaintances. But I always wanted to change that because I like Karen and I wanted her to like me, and I thought the one thing that we were missing was just one time where we bonded over something between she and I. But I didn't know what that was or when it was going to happen, but I kind of was always low-key looking for it. So, Christmas Eve, 2016, 10 of us were invited to Karen and her husband's, my friend's, house for dinner. It was a hot Los Angeles Christmas Eve, and everyone was sitting on the back porch. Karen walked out onto the back porch, big smile on her face, carrying a large box of glass tea lights. She proudly announced to everyone that she had just bought those lights that day. They had never been used, and she was so excited to put them out. And that's when the people pleaser in me came alive. And I said, this is a chance for me to contribute and ingratiate myself and possibly bond with Karen over how helpful I am. So with the subtext of, like me, I jumped up and I said, I'll help. Karen was very polite and she said, no thank you, I got it. And with maybe just a touch of desperation that I did not intend, I said, please, I'd like to help. Karen smiled, she relented, and she handed me the box, and I was so happy that she did. And when I had that box of glass tea lights, I started to pull the sleeve off of the plastic that was encasing them. And as I did, I misjudged the balance and the weight of it, and they all just fell to the ground and shattered in front of me. I was mortified at this. I turned to Karen, but she would not look at me. I tried to apologize profusely, and Karen looked at me and said, it's fine. Which we all know does not mean anything close to it being fine. After dinner, I was in the breakfast nook by myself, and I was still feeling bad about the tea light incident. In front of me was there was a dozen sugar cookies of various shapes and sizes that Karen had taken out of the oven and had on a baking sheet that were just cooling in the area. And I love a good sugar cookie. And I can't usually resist them, so in a way to kind of, eat my feelings, I took a star-shaped one and I popped it in my mouth. And I immediately regretted this decision because this cookie was terrible. It was hard, it was stale, and it was just awful. And for whatever reason, I couldn't break through it, but my saliva was eating away at the surface of it. It was just disgusting, and I wanted this cookie out of my mouth as quickly as possible. So I went into the kitchen to spit it out in the trash can, and between me and the trash can was Karen. Now, I had already broken her tea lights. I did not now want to insult her cookies by violently spitting one out into a trash can. So I did the only thing that I could think to do. Yes, you're ahead of me. I had to swallow it. So I bit down hard. I broke through the core and I felt the reverberation in my head, and I kept chewing it. And after many arduous chewings, I finally got through it. And now I was faced with a choice. I either had to tell Karen that her cookies were terrible or someone else was going to eat one. I am nothing if not full of honor, and I knew that I had to fall on the sword to make sure that no one suffered the same fate that I just did. So I walked over towards Karen, kind of, breezy and fun, and nonchalantly I said, hey, what are those? And Karen looked at me, looked where I was pointing, and she goes, oh, they're ornaments. And I responded, "What does that mean?" And she said, "Oh, they're salt dough ornaments. They're equal parts salt flour, a little bit of water to keep them together. Kids are going to paint them later." With a discernible amount of fear in my voice, I said, "What do you think they would do to the human body?" Confused, Karen responded, "If you threw it at it?" "If you ingested it." "Did you eat one?" Yes. At that point, Karen burst out laughing. She tried to contain it, but she could not help it, so she just burst out. And as I started to realize exactly what I had just done, I started to find the humor in it as well, and I started laughing with her as well. And there we were laughing in this kitchen together over this dumb move that I had just made. But then I realized right as this was happening, we're bonding. And we were sharing something between the two of us. And in that moment, we upgraded to a whole new level of friendship, because when Karen looked at me and she was laughing, she goes, "Thank you." And I was laughing and said, "You're welcome." So when she proudly announced, "Hey everyone, Kevin just ate an ornament," I knew that I was no longer the acquaintance that had broken her tea lights. I was her friend that had eaten a Christmas ornament.